was named the highest ranking woman and fourth overall top real estate influencer to follow by entrepreneur.com in 2017. She is CEO and president of Desiree Patno Enterprises, Inc. and the National Association of Women in Real Estate Business. She has sold over 6,000 properties, providing relocation services for major Fortune 100 companies and connecting entrepreneurs to billions of dollars in business resources. So with that, to you, Desiree. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us here. Due to time, Anita and Chitra, you want to go ahead and join us up on stage? Since we all changed the schedule so much. Hello? Wonderful. Anita's already late for her appointment, so we rearranged the schedule so much. Read this. So we've heard some incredible speakers throughout the course of the day. And this is my fourth or fifth now here with DC Finance, and each one's so different and so valuable. So thank you very much, Dave and Linda, for having me again and being part of putting these on. The real estate part with the women in real estate is a very different dynamic because we're all talking about women. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to frame out for women what's going on. You notice right now there's 9 women speakers out of 30 speakers. How many of here women are in the room right now? It's almost 50-50. When we started with the full room earlier today, I took a count. There was probably a good 25 to 30%. It's showing the shift that was going in the marketplace for women. And I'm very pleased with that because it's been a long road. So real quick, what I'm going to do due to time, I'm going to frame it out, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Anita, to talk about steps just in case you have to jet out here. So here's some of the stats from Forbes for the billionaires list from 2017. There's 2,043 that are on the list. 227 are females, of which 56 were created by themselves, by women, self-made. Of that, over half of them are from Asia. So the percentage of the number increase of self-made women billionaires was more than the overall total of billionaires on that list. So most of these women came from the US, UK, and China, with 45% from the United States. Pretty incredible. So majority of the women's richest women work with nonprofits, social organizations, finance, banking, investment, textiles, apparels, and real estate. So the idea is that we're going to hear today on the very different, unique space that Anita works in the family office, and what she's done with the artists and her big allotment of real estate. And then obviously we heard from Dr. Chitra what she's doing, and also the real estate. We're going to dive deep into the IBM side where she worked. But here we play into the second part is increasing wealth. Self-made women run parallel to increase the amount of wealth controlled by the family offices. Women business owners primarily own family offices to ensure that they are in control of their own assets and that they are the key decision makers when it comes to their own wealth going into the intergenerational space, which we just heard of from the panel ahead of us, right? So if you look at that from a bigger perspective, they want to make sure that as providers for their family and where they're going, that they're giving back to the community. Hence we heard from the opportunity zones of giving back to as we grow it. So we can dive into that a little bit later here in a minute. So the investment strategies with a focus on gender lens investing. According to various wealth partners, at 41% this past year of $910 million is focused on just making sure that women have a seat in the room. And the idea is that you want to go where that's going, is that we heard on the previous panel on the intergenerational space, typically in the family office space in the US, the siblings like to disperse a little bit, where in most other countries they don't. They stay together as a knit family. So it's very important when we're seeing that they want to grow into different avenues there, right? So What I'd like to do is then I'll open it up, I'll talk about the opportunity zones a little bit more depth on the women's side. But Anita, you have a very interesting story. As what you've done in the, I call it the social impact, dealing in the arts world is absolutely phenomenal. So tell us a little about your story and a little about yourself.
Okay, so basically what I do is property owners donate space and then I give it to artists. Currently we have about 6.8 million worth of donated space. Some of our property owners are CK Realty, TF Cornerstone, Jack Resnick and Sons. And so we take these spaces and then artists start businesses, they show their work, they use it for workspace. And many of our property owners, they realize if you have an empty space in New York, it's like a negative energy. But when you fill it with something, you are creating something for your tenants, for the stores around, an economic factor, and you're beautifying the neighborhood. So that's pretty much what I do.
Well, we heard, and you have some great stories I wanted you to talk about more, but we heard earlier today where coming with some art raised the value by 12%. So here we take donated, put some artists in there, make them successful, gives back to the community, especially when you're talking about that you have so many projects we were talking earlier, that you're starting some projects in the Bronx and what that's like. I mean, having someone have the opportunity to showcase their love of life, the passion, the creativity, can go to some very successful stories, and I know you have a couple of those. You want to share one of those with us?
Okay. So basically, when I was in 9th grade, I was very frustrated, and I left high school. And when I never went back. And I met my mentor, Reza, and he taught me about the power of creativity. And we were very successful. We went all over Europe. And when he died of AIDS, that's how I started my company, Chashama. Because I wanted other people to feel that power of creativity that he taught me. And that's what I've done by getting people to donate space to me, and I give it to artists. One example is Sandra Spana. She came in and she did a window performance where she was this beautiful princess and she would paint people. And from there, she got a small workspace, and now she's working with major companies all over the world and in the country, where she was able to take our small workspace and make it into a business. We have a small retail store with 14th Street. It's a reclaimed wood, and it's a small business where they are selling furniture from reclaimed wood. Another story is Tia Mara. We have spaces in the Bronx. She lives in low-income housing. She works with our, she came in and she worked with one of our teaching artists, and now she is working in our office, and she's become a teaching artist herself. So the things that we're able to do is to help small businesses, help people in underserved communities, and help underserved artists.
Fantastic. So if you really look at what she's doing, she's given a platform, and we all go through the financial meltdown, and we looked at it and said, okay, people are losing their homes. No one realized how many businesses were also being lost because they ran their businesses out of their homes. In the family space, you're sitting there, you want to look at not only the huge portfolios that we saw, like Stonehenge, and we're talking about the buildings and how they renovated them and brought them back to life and made them better just out of its own internal inventory. Same idea here is that if you're losing your home, you're losing your business, she's able to create not only the space for them to come in there, but to play it forward in a very place to live, place to work, and a place to grow and to give back. So that is just phenomenal. So I would like to play that into Chitra here, Dr. Chitra here. When you were working at IBM, you left that space and you decided to go into the next realm. Talk to us a little about that during the crisis and what that was like.
Yeah. My passion to coming to bringing the power of AI to dementia has actually is beginning during the housing crisis. So I was at IBM Research in Yorktown Heights, which is about 45 miles north of Manhattan. and I'm a data scientist and AI scientist. You do what the scientists do: publish a lot of papers, write books, give talks, and so on. But when the housing crisis happened, it spoke to me. IBM started actually a business in mortgage servicing, taking Fannie Mae's $500,000 loans, working on it daily, helping to keep borrowers or homeowners in their houses. So it was a 25% delinquent portfolio. So I really saw the opening for bringing all the research innovations that we had written about, written about in academic conferences. Finally, we can bring it into the hands of the people who are trying to explain, help the distressed homeowners. So I moved over to this business unit, embedded myself, like people were embedded in military. This is what every day I went and shadowed the customer center operations. Every day I shadowed the loan officer who was dealing with hundreds of low borrowers who were facing foreclosure. So through that, I figured out how we can actually transform the data that they have about the borrowers, about the loans, what they were struggling with, into very powerful AI solutions that we can actually move the borrowers who are facing foreclosure into either have their loans modified under the HAMP program, under the then Obama's administration. Home Affordable Modification Program was instituted to help these distressed homeowners. So, but figuring out who are better off with loan modification and who are better off with liquidation was really up in the air. People were getting modified, then they would re-default within 3 months and they would get modified, and ultimately they face foreclosure. Why don't we cut that path shorter and figure out the paths to liquidating their property so they can walk away with their heads held high, with their dignity, without the stigma of foreclosure. So we brought a lot of AI solution, understanding the voice of the borrower, what they were saying, what were they concerned about, whether they really loved living in the community and so on. So this, I'm telling you the story of how we truly brought AI between 2009 and the height of 2013. So that's why I think my message to people is AI is mainstream. Maybe the industry is catching up, but the solutions are out there, the technology is out there. It's figuring out the right kind of problem that you can look at. Stonehenge is, you saw the power of the data analytics and mobile apps in order to truly change the tenant experience that they were doing. It was very powerful.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if you think about this, one of the other stories I've heard you speak before is about food chain. That's real estate, that's land, that's agricultural real estate. It was the story where there was some contamination with some vegetables or something, and literally the process would take weeks, months to figure out where the contamination came through. Something like 2 seconds or 2 minutes, something crazy, where they had gone through and traced it all the way back to the distributor like that fast. It saved lives because it was, I think it was salmonella that was killed. So those are the things that you don't see behind the scenes that are absolutely powerful that are real estate related. So thank you on that. So if we look at, have you ever thought of, obviously Anita, you're always looking for more land and more space and more ways to highlight what you're doing, because if we could take what you're doing in the base of New York and apply it to, I'm from California, born and raised, not many of us can say that, but we have the highest homelessness and poverty in the state of California than anywhere else. We'd love to see more ways that, they cut the school programs to the number of arts in the elementary school, we were talking about that, to bringing your product in the family and office space of what you're doing to other regions. Is there any way that anyone in the audience can help maybe leverage some of that process that you're doing?
Yes, I believe that people are doing it on a smaller scale in other cities, and we're working right now to do this, what we do, to help in other cities as well. And it is possible. And I think, I mean, most cities you see there is a huge blight on real estate in retail markets, and it's not, it's everywhere. So, and I believe that most people they don't want this, and they're very interested in making a change and figuring out ways to change the empty real estate and to do it in underserved areas like we're talking about in California.
Well, I think I know in the strip malls that we were talking last year here at the same exact conference in DC, finance, in the same building. The gentleman has spoken about strip malls, that it used to be coffee and a gym inside a strip mall. You know, strip malls aren't dead, they're just being repurposed, right? Imagine taking the vacancy of strip malls, which is very high in a lot of places, and using them in their capacity that they have right now. They wouldn't have to do very much improvements to them. Set up as an artist place, come use it. It would attract more people come, it would build a community, it's a great write-off, the family offices get to see a space, which is phenomenal, and then they get to parade them through a bigger platform of what they're giving back to the community, and it keeps the net of the family, as we saw here, on the intergenerational, aspects of how you get treated and what you get done. So, very interesting thought. Anyone have any questions on that? Yes?
More of a complementary thought to it. I lead the New York office of Transwestern here, and we do a lot of work with nonprofits, and we just helped one group use some vacant retail space to do a coat drive for this winter. It was donated space by the landlord to do a coat drive. We do some work with some urban farming. So there are ways that we can activate underutilized space, whether it's an urban farm and a farmer's market in a strip center, or a place for social service organizations. So if there was a tax credit alignment or some kind of a partnership with the government to help activate some of these underutilized spaces, I think we could see more social partnerships with for-profit real estate and create a whole new ecosystem.
I'd love to talk more about that, but you just brought up these made a great idea go off in my head anyway. One of the things I noticed about New York is that it's constantly, where do you put the animals? Where do the poor furry animals get to go? I'm an animal lover through and through. And last night when I was taking Lyft over here, he says, oh, well, I have a balcony in plastic. Imagine having a room dedicated that wasn't being utilized right now for animals to go play. You rip it all out, you change it out, it's okay. But the point is that you have an indoor cat park. Right? And I mean, how many of us spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars on our animals, right? Especially in New York. I mean, I think it'd be a phenomenal idea to do something like that. Just a thought out there for everyone in their family office while they're doing some planning. Okay, so let's talk more about women in real estate. Women specifically, that's the name of the panel. We're coming up with more creative ideas. We're coming out thinking outside the box. We're growing leaps and bounds to actually start taking some spearhead. Anyone hear about the newest acquisition where Quentin Palomino from Chitra Partners just bought $500 million worth of hotels, 110 hotels and 2,300 employees? Okay? She just bought that in the first week of September. You know why she got the deal? It wasn't because of the price. She worked with the seller for a long time with the exclusive right they have of employee training for Marriott and Hilton. So the idea is that she put together that she was the best candidate not only for buying the property, but to carry on the legacy that they had in the hospitality field of being able to continue quality of training and keep that exclusive contract. So that purpose is where women in real estate, where us giving back, mothers and involvement. So I wanted to go into a little of the opportunity zone and talk real quick. We've heard a lot about it. We had a panel on it in July at our conference in Chicago. But I want to give you some really quick stats on it. Yeah, I'm a data junkie like Dr. Chitra, but she's a whole other league of her own with only 50 patents. Sorry, I'm in your league. But $100 billion you heard earlier, the private capital from Secretary Stephen Mnuchin said, this incentive for the, obviously, opportunity zone. But specific is for the economic revitalization and promote sustainable economic growth, which was a major goal of the Tax and Job Act, right? But the idea is you're going to sit here and play into the space that's really going to afford 8,761 communities, we heard, in all 50 states. Did you know there's 35 million Americans that live there, in those communities? Of which, according to the American Community Survey in 2011 to 2015, a poverty rate was over 32%, with a national average of 17%. Additionally, median family income was 37% below that area of the national state and/or area. And the unemployment rate was 1.6 times higher than the normal average rate in those OZ zones. The reason I want to bring that to the forefront is if you look at the statistics, that if you happen to get a copy, there's only a few left that are outside. We are a media publication, NAWRB is, for Women in Housing Real Estate Ecosystem, and we produce a report every year, and you have the 2018 report out there. And if you look on it, you'll see where the stats are for the number of single women, or single mothers that are under poverty. It's almost 30%, 29.9%. And of that, 42% have children under 18, and of that, 49.1% have children under the age of 6. So we talk about the opportunity zones. How do you give back? How to the family offices? You notice the numbers are parallel. That's because we're dealing with how we're going to grow without the legislation, but we now have a tax vehicle. The gentleman earlier was a little bullish about it, but that's okay, because it might not be for everyone's space. But the women who are driving more women involved in family offices, inheriting from the leading men, because the fact is that they're giving them to the wives, they're giving them to the daughters, they're giving them to the other millennial children. They're saying, I don't care how much you pay me, I want to give back. And that applies to all pay scale, whether you're in the family office or down here, right? So, Anita, and we talked about that, yes, you said that there was some opportunities. Is there a specific way that they can take your business model? Can they get involved with you? Can they invest with you? Can they just be, what kind of tax benefits do they might get out of that?
So, interesting. So there is no tax benefit for a property owner, as you were saying before. And you were saying that it would be nice if it was possible to get a tax benefit. I've looked into it a lot. So when a property owner donates, what they get is we maintain their space, right? So if there's no one in your space, at least we're there, we're checking up on it, we're cleaning up, we're making sure there's no leaks, and we're beautifying the neighborhood. And we're also helping you to rent out your space, because an empty space is a space that's not wanted, but a space that is full is much more wanted. So those are the things that we are giving to the property owner.
I think one of the most valuable is the eyes on property. I mean, especially in New York. So thank you, I think that's great. So Chitra, Dr. Chitra, when you're talking, you said that friendly. When we're dealing with the involvement, the crisis, and what you brought to the table, all the data analytics, and being the Chief Technology Officer for Global Services at all IBM, you've seen so much, and to quantify it in a short time. Where do you see in this environment of family offices that you think would be the greatest growth for real estate, that you could give them a golden nugget, that you think would be, if you had a crystal ball?
So the biggest opportunity is in serving the customers, whether it is a home buyer or a multifamily buyer or a commercial property. How do you truly give? People are talking about this Amazonifying the experience. Amazon has become the epitome of customer experience. And there's a recent report, Gartner's report, customer experience is a battleground for all companies in any industry you can fit. And changing demographics and the millennials are also putting pressure in terms of accelerated adoption of technology to serve them better. So therefore, any of the AI, not just mobile apps, but being there at the right time to satisfy the customer's need, the buyer's need, or the tenant's need, like Snowden was. That was just fabulous. That when I was looking at that app, the speaker demoed it. It was fascinating. It is all about. It's not about property maintenance. It's really about putting tenant in the center of everything. How do we provide them the best experience living in their commercial building? So I think that is where going to be all the battle lines, all the disruption is going to happen in the industry. So whether AI will help, whether the real estate industry will adopt AI in terms of making credit decisions and so on, that might be a little way off, but in terms of changing the experience by providing the kind of mobile apps infused with voice assistants and chatbots and so on are going to be the immediate adoption, steps to adoption on a technology.
I think it's great. No, one of the things, a lot of you asked me to talk about the economic recovery. How do you know about the SBA Economic Recovery Act? One. How do you know that there's $306 billion worth of natural disasters that happened in 2017? They're estimated over $1 trillion in 2018. That number's probably low based on how many we just had, and there's another, Hurricane 5 barreling down, we're supposed to hear it hit Mexico and then coming up through Texas here tonight. I don't know if it's hit yet. So, with that being said, how many know, doesn't matter what space you're in, so I'm going to throw it out there. $40,000 for every renter, $200,000 for every homeowner, no processing, no application, no payment for the first year, and you can get it at 1.75% interest rate. It's all provided by the Small Business Administration through the Economic Recovery Act. There is no limit. A business owner could get $2 million at double the rate, at 3.5%. Oh, gee. The point is, every single one of you that work in the lending credit issues, or crisis we heard about, the commercial loans being harder to get, and all these different apps for FICO scores and changing alternatives. Imagine you going out there and saying at 40,000, 200,000. The only negative about it is that you have a 60-day window. You hear about FEMA being all end-all be-all to get money. They're not there. It's $4,000 to $6,000 per minimal, their average. But my point is they don't do rehab. They only do preservation of immediate danger. So what I'm looking for is, I just want to let you know that opportunity's there. You get the loan, you don't have to use it. And it's totally free if you don't use it. But if you don't apply for it within the first 60 days, you don't get it. And I can't tell you how many times I've told people around the United States, time and time again, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have an SBA loan, so I can't use it. I'm not a small business owner. Imagine you trying to sell a building. You're in the space of having multifamily and everyone in there got flooded out. You would look like a rock star. Greystone this morning, we heard the gentleman, the one with the long hair, and he didn't even talk about the fact that his multifamily is 100% nonprofit. All the money that they take in and the running of it is done by the parent company, and all the money they take in goes directly back to families to house them. 100%. Yet he didn't even say a word about that. So that's the family giving back to the community. So it doesn't matter how low, how high in the family office space to get that done. So I just want to make sure that anyone knows about that, that that's out there. So please put it out there. We write about it. All these blogs, all these articles, we've written thousands, are out there on our page. Does anyone else have any questions? No questions? We only have a minute and a half. Nothing? All right, I know Anita's got to go. She's going to be interviewed by... That's okay, well, not the publication. Anyway, so thank you all for being on the panel. Let's give them all a round of applause. I appreciate it.